Ooh, we had a productive day, I think. Do you think we had a productive day?
Yeah.
We had a productive day. Law of action really is something that I'm just like, and this is a part of my law of action. It's more about, you know what I'm saying, because I'm here for the fucking goddamn box lunch or the snack, the supernatural, agnostic, amoral, atheistic. Is that a word? Atheistic? Fucking castigation. From the intersubjective agreement, because it's intersubjective agreement, it's kind of like, what the fuck? So it's this is more about fucking, you know, law of action kind of shit. Like, this is something productive and constructive that I can do in relationship to the compound effect. If anything else, I get to motherfucking clarify myself better. You know what I'm saying? Articulate myself better and to get a better comprehension of my thoughts. And it's therapeutic. You know, and the thing about it is there is a pharmacology to therapy. I think it includes marijuana and psilocybin. You know, that's my personal fucking opinion. And the psychotropic drugs suck. You know, pharmaceutical psychotropic drugs suck. They don't fucking work. They fucking have you because I've been on them. They have you in this motherfucking funk, and you're incapable of using taking a true command of your cognitive capacity. You know, when you're on psychotropic drugs. But that's just my fucking view about psychotropic drugs. But the pharmacology, like okay, like Freud, his was cocaine. And eventually realized that cocaine was not what he thought it was, and it had an addictive fucking aspect to it, side effect to it, and then the down part of it, and so on and so forth. But marijuana and psilocybin are far better pharmacological. Um, uh, Damn it, the word was right there on top of my head. Okay, short term memory. Benefits. It have far more pharmacological benefits than fucking cocaine does, and we still base most of our shit in cocaine or codeine and opioids. So which are Schedule 2 drugs, and marijuana, and psilocybin, and LSD, and ecstasy are Schedule 1, which is like crazy. Those have far more of a therapeutic medical benefit than the other two. However, they're classified as Schedule 2 because they have medical benefits, opioids and codeine. What the fuck kind of? Oh, this is stimming. That's when I'm stimming. You know what I'm saying? That's my stem. That's what it looks like. So if you ever see me doing this, know that I'm stimming. So and it absolutely, and people be like staring at this shit like it's like really like hurting them or some shit like that, and it has absolutely nothing to do with them. But it does make me feel better. You know. So I'm gonna move my hand so you don't see that. But anyway, yeah, it was a great day. Law of action, and I realized that the law of action is what um, uh, allows an individual to activate the law of attraction. You cannot necessarily activate the law of attraction without the law of action being implemented. And I'm going to write a book about the law of action, and it's relationship to the law of attraction. I think that's really what my first book is going to be about. The Chris Gnostic Tao of positive participation in the laws that govern human agency, and then breaking down those laws and so on forth and so on. But that's not necessarily what's a deter what the fuck do I want to say? That's not necessarily conclusive right now. I know that I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write books, and I have a couple of books in mind, and most of them are the Tao of Christnosticism, or Christnosology, or however, the Christnostic Tao to such and such and such and such. So that's kind of like where I'm at, as far as that's concerned. And then there was something else I wanted to talk about, but I guess I really don't want to really talk about it. I guess because it's not there, and I'm just kind of just like wrapping up my day. Again, I like doing this because it gives me the opportunity to articulate the thoughts in my head. I have a lot of thoughts in my head. I think about a lot of shit. So this gives me the opportunity to fucking to articulate the thoughts in my head, and to, like, I guess, look back at them and share them with the fucking larger fucking community, the virtual community, if that is what happens. Because if you get some benefit, you watch this, you get some benefit, that's great. But at the end of the day, my benefit is the only benefit that necessarily is concerned in relationship to self. It is self-preservation. And I do realize that self-preservation extends to a healthy intersubjective agreement. So therefore, it is in my best benefit, to help establish, to the best of my ability, a healthy intersubjective agreement. Healthy or adaptive interpersonal behavioral traits. And first and foremost, I have to adapt in myself. And you therefore have to figure out what the fuck is healthy. You know what I'm saying? Interpersonal behavioral traits. And how do we develop them? How do we determine what those are and why what they are? And we pretty much know. Instinctively we know, but that is a internal investigation, or the result of an internal investigation. And then most of us don't have the opportunity of looking into self. We see ourselves through these fragments of how we're perceived, and then stitch these fragments of how we're perceived together in order to create this, tattered self, or image of self, that is by no stretch of the imagination truly who we are. And that's the thing about it. You only have this 10% awareness of who you are. So is meditation the natural prayer? Is that the natural prayer that our true deity, which is nature, provided for us in order to establish our true religious connection, or religion in order to gain connection to what is our true deity, and that is nature? Because again, look at that. And let me put this stem thing in there, because my stem has manifested in a host of different ways over my lifetime. From bumping my head to bumping my knees together to this. And this is a result of years of meditation, where my stem has now fucking just like mutated to this thing. And I say that to say that it is our natural inclination to not only to worship nature, but to worship nature in the antiquated sense of the word, not in this submission, well, it is submission, but in this, not in this vain worship, but in this reverent observation, which is study. That we must study nature to fully comprehend. That's why we have the capacity to learn. It doesn't make any sense if we have this capacity to learn and to reason by way of learning, that it is not our natural inclination to do so. And that meditation and that yoga is our natural inclination. We're naturally inclined to do so, or something that we're naturally inclined to do. But we're in the point of our, group maturation, and where we have not truly matured to the point in which we fully comprehend our natural place in the natural order. But then again, if you go back to, the teachings of Elijah Muhammad, there is no birth record for Islam. So if we look at there's no birth record for Islam, then it is an intrinsic aspect of nature that is manifested as a result of the physiological interpretation from the environment of man, if that makes sense, or based upon man's physiological makeup and the interpretation from the environment that we are in need of, that we interpret this intrinsic aspect of nature as these laws or these principles, which are Islam. So their Islam has no birth date, has no birth record. There's no date of birth for Islam because it's an intrinsic aspect of nature. I don't know. Maybe I'm over the mic or some shit like that. Because the last time I talked about some shit like that, the motherfucker, didn't have any sound on it or whatever. So, that's, where I'm at as far as that is concerned, is relationship to natural way, which is what Islam is called. I mean, every single book, I have about Islam describes it as supposedly the natural way. So any way that is contradictory to nature is contradictory to true Islam, the intrinsic aspects of nature, not some concept just that popped into the imagination of man, but occurred or is developed as a result of observable phenomenon in nature. And using that upward causal information. And see, you got to look at how the early Muslims are the reason why we even preserved Greek philosophy. And then let's talk about the Sunnah Bonum. The Sunnah Bonum is the supreme good. And in that supreme good, you recognize that upward causal information is superior to downward causal information. And the only way that you can interpret downward causal information is via upward causal information. Even the concept of upward and downward causal information comes from Greek philosophy, Sunnah Bonum. And the Sunnah Bonum concept comes from the Egyptians, which again we can trace us back this concept of Islam back to Kemet. So it's and that's proven by way of James G.A. George or George G.A. James, whichever that goes on, dyslexia. But in Stolen Legacy, I mean, his literature, his scholarship, thoroughly, and then you go into Chancellor Williams and and destruction of whatever that's called, Black Civilization, and he does field work, so and he has he has extensive field work to support that same reality that the Greek mythology was taken from. I mean, the Greek philosophy was taken from and mythology was taken from the Egyptians. Even Budge can support that. So, and in their misinterpretation of it, you get what you get. I think it starts with the Tigrinians, but the Tigrinians are the pre-Dark Age Greeks, because we don't even know that the classical era of Greece, as we know it, is actually the European, and that Bernard Shaw, whatever the fuck his name is, Black Athens. If you read that actual book, where he gives you, and actually watch him debate with on the side of John Henry Clark against Mary Lefkowitz and her fucking lackey, and you can see that there was already a black, which they call the author calls the Semitic people, and there's an argument between John Henry Clark and Dr. Clark and him about the term Semitic, which I agree with. Clark has thoroughly, vetted out there are no Semitic people, that the Semitic is a term used to describe the amalgamation of two different cultures, and then the perfection of that amalgamation was used to describe other cultures that amalgamated. And from an Eastern standpoint, and from a Western standpoint, amalgamation was called Hellenization. So get it. So if you talk about the Sumerians, the Semitics, the Semitic people, then that's the Sumerians, and then you get the Sumerians and the Samaritans, the Good Samaritans, who were the Israelites. Because you can see that within the writings of Josephus and even in the biblical literature. I'm going past my time. Let me get off this shit.